Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video, and today I am talking about a movie that I saw last year, rewatched it today, and I figured I should share my really changed opinion on this movie, and that is Babylon. I should get this out of the way. If you follow me on the app Letterboxd, you can search Quarter Vision on there, and that's how you can find me. It's pretty out there that I absolutely hated Babylon when I first saw it. And thinking back on it, it was the wrong day to see this movie, just for like other reasons in my life and other things that happened that day. So I went into this movie with not a great uh, mindset. I was very tired. I forgot instantaneously everything about this movie. So I kept thinking, why is there an elephant shitting on this guy in the first 5 minutes? Why is it like this massive party filled with sex in the first 30 minutes? Why did Tobey Maguire show up in this? I instantaneously forgot everything about this movie as I was watching it. On top of the fact that it was a little over 3 hours and that ruined my sense of time and space like I was in a sensory deprivation chamber. And thinking back on it, I knew at some point that I had to rewatch it because I feel like I needed to give it another go just for my own sanity because I was very excited for this movie. It had a very great first trailer that I dug. I liked the vibe of it. Yes, it had its criticisms of like what was this movie about, and leading into awful, awful marketing for this. What a you can look up what that was all about because and it's such a weird marketing strategy that it's a completely different conversation. Granted, this movie bombed big time, and in a way, I'm kind of sad about it because I do like the director Damien Chazelle, and I don't know, it didn't work for me at the time I watched it. Uh, I'm one of the only people on the planet, I think, that has Paramount Plus, and that is where Babylon went to stream. So a couple hours ago, I rewatched it since its release, and let's just talk about it. So it being 3 hours, over 3 hours long, I checked on Paramount Plus when like the credits stopped, like when the movie stopped and the credits started. It ended up being like 3 hours and 3 minutes around there. So this is a big movie, over 3 hours without credits. And along with that, you can expect there's a lot going on. There's a lot of characters here. There's a lot of other like storylines going on that intersect, and uh, some of them, not all of them, some of them were either just like a little uninteresting. Maybe execution wasn't great, and there's only one that I would entirely cut out, and that is the mob sequence at the end. I don't want to get into spoilers. That's where Tobey Maguire's character shows up, and I really thought Tobey Maguire gave a fun performance, but it was just in the worst section of the movie. I guess I'll go through now what I think about the acting in this movie, because when I first saw it, I didn't think a lot of the acting was that good. Again, that was just probably just my mind state. But I think a lot of the acting was pretty good in this. I thought this then, and I still think this now. Diego Calva playing Manny was probably my favorite performance in this movie. Um, I can't really describe it if I'm being honest, but it's just his whole vibe. I maybe it's just because I was a PA on a set very recently, and that really it just resonated with me during this watch, and I don't know, it just was fun to me. While I do think that Calva gave the best performance, I think my favorite story in this was Brad Pitt's character for Jack Conrad. I like that whole eventually washed up actor that was going on that also is really helped with one of the later scenes in the movie of Gene Smart, who plays this gossip like this gossip journalist, and she has a pretty good monologue about like all this, like about like lights fading and that like this isn't a dry spell, you're done. And it really just added to that story. Honestly, Brad Pitt's Jack Conrad's arc really was my favorite of this movie. And if I didn't say it earlier, I think Diego Calva should have gotten more awards loving this. Even though he probably wasn't going to win anything, I still think he should have at least gotten nominated for this. To round out like the trinity of main characters in this movie, Margot Robbie, I think she was all right in this. There were parts of this where I could tell she was trying a little too hard to go for that Oscar, but that scene where she's on the bar set for the first time was really fun. I also liked the whole scene where they're doing a sound for the first time in a movie, and that was probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie at this point. I do think like the acting all around was actually not that bad, or at least not as bad as I thought it was when I watched it. It helped to distinguish a lot of the characters because a lot of them were recognizable to me. So that helped me out a lot because obviously I recognize Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, and at this point Diego Calva because he was the best part of that. Excuse me, he was the best part of that movie, and it was a well-rounded cast and it was big enough with a good amount of stars as well that it made my head spin at first looking at the cast list. Like Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers is in this. I know he's an actor, but sometimes, but it's funny to see him in a movie sometimes. I thought a lot of the technical aspects of the movie were also just kind of there as well. The things that really stood out to me though were the production design, which it has been winning a couple awards for, and I'm pretty sure that's nominated for the Oscar, the production department. And also, I can't talk about a Damien Chazelle movie without talking about Justin Hurwitz and the score, which, if I'm being honest, is my favorite part of the movie. With a Damien Chazelle movie comes a banger music, and Babylon is no different. I will be very mad if Justin Hurwitz does not win this Oscar. I'm also going to throw my hat into the ring of the ending of this movie. And if I'm being honest, it's probably the bonkers what the actual fuck is going on part of the movie. At least to me, because I knew there was going to be like like a massive party at the beginning. But what I didn't know was there's like a clip reel and a montage of a bunch of other like movies that have impacted Hollywood at the end. And it's actually been a trend. I've been seeing like edits on YouTube of other people like editing their favorite movies to this music, and it's actually pretty fun. But I, but granted, since I had just seen Avatar: The Way of Water right before I saw Babylon, it was very funny to see a clip of the first Avatar movie in Babylon. It was very funny. But overall, I think it's a pretty wild ending. Not really sure if it's entirely earned, but the I respect the go at it. And that brings me to Damien Chazelle himself, his direction and what he wanted to do with this. It Granted, this is not my favorite Damien Chazelle movie, but it really felt like he needed to prove himself again because after La La Land, which is a great movie, but that whole Oscar fiasco that went on with that, and also First Man, this is the only movie I haven't seen of his. I remember it didn't do too well, like money wise, and it put him in a slump. It felt like it felt like he needed that admiration and like that proof of I can still be a really good director with Babylon. And I like that when a director like has that drive of like I'm gonna make whatever the hell I want, and who cares if nobody likes it? And I admire that determination, no matter how I feel on the final product of the movie. So yeah, I guess that's my thoughts on Babylon. My thoughts have really, I would say, drastically improved on completely hating Babylon on my first watch to actually kind of liking it on the second. I don't think it's a masterpiece by any means. Who knows? Maybe it's gonna be one of those movies like at the end of this decade, we're gonna look back on and go, wow, that really was a misunderstood masterpiece. I feel like that's gonna happen with this movie. I don't really know if my thoughts are gonna change on it from now, but I think Babylon is a very overwhelming movie. It's way too long, but I think it's worth a watch if you're into old Hollywood and just that sort of vibe and you want to like learn more of how it all went down back then. Maybe a little over exaggerated in a couple of areas, but there's decent acting all around. There is a good storyline the in the multiple storylines that go on in this. Not many movies can even have a good one like this. So I'll give him that. And I just because of that, I'm leaning on giving this a 7 out of 10. Uh yeah. Let me ask you this. Have you seen Babylon yet? It didn't do too well at the box office right now. It's on Paramount Plus. That's how I watched it. Let me know what you think of this movie if you've seen it. And I just as an extra question to get you to talk with me and just vibe a little bit. What's your favorite performance from Brad Pitt? At this point, I feel like this would be up there just for, like, as an isolated story of just really good. If this was its own movie, I would have really loved it a lot more. But yeah, let me know what you think about Babylon, Brad Pitt performances, movies in general. Let me know. I'll catch you in the next one. I will see you in the next one. Don't know why I said that twice. Anyway, bye bye.